Good afternoon and welcome to Felcraft Cast. I'm Hammy, hope you're well and good. Today we are jumping into the second of our Magic the Gathering introduction series. So we're just learning to play Magic as a new player, getting used to it and seeing how we can get in. We're using Magic the Gathering 2015 Duels of the Planeswalkers as our way of doing that. And whether you're a new card game player, or whether you've had some experience with other card games, Duels of the Planeswalkers is a great way to get in. You can grab it for free on your iPad and get used to it. There are various sort of paid upgrades and things you can grab, and on PC and desktop as well. So why is it good as a learning tool? Well, it takes you in with a really nicely guided series of tutorials. It gets you used to not only playing cards if you're not familiar to it, but also some card concepts and ways of playing that are quite unique to Magic if you've played other card games, whether it's anything from Magic a long time ago through to Pokemon, Hearthstone, be it a virtual card game or a paper one. So in our second episode, we're going to be jumping into the second tutorial, and we're going to be taking a look at what sorceries are, the concept of a flying creature and how flying works as a mechanic, and then also taking a look at the graveyard and how you can interact with that as well. So without further ado, let's jump on in. You can see the Azure Mage on our slate, and she is going to be our opponent. But first things first, we're going to be jumping into our second quest. Now, in our first quest, you can check it out on Felcraftcasts, youtube.com/Felcraftcasts. We took a very basic look at the objectives of Magic. I would encourage you, if you're coming to this and you're not familiar with Magic, to jump back and look on our channel for our first episode. That'll also be linked on a playlist that you'll see here. So, in this game, we're going to be taking a look at sorceries. Now, what is a sorcery? Well, it's a one-time use spell, as you can see on your screen, that does something immediately. Why is this a little bit different in Magic to other card games? Well, there are some card games out there that are very turn and procedure based, and they're very sort of solid in the way that the turn works. So it's my turn, I draw a card, I do everything on my turn, and then I end my turn, and my opponent throughout that turn just waits for me. They see what I'm doing, they will react to me on their turn. In Magic, sorceries, you can actually even react on your opponent's turn, and you can also play them at different times in your turn. So it's for some people it's a new concept, but what it lets you do is get a lot more involved in the game in some ways. However, you just need to understand when and where and how you play your sorceries. So let's jump in and show you this in action.
For your second quest, you'll be using a black deck. Black's specialty is removing your opponent's creatures. Your opponent is Azure Mage.
So remember that in Magic, of course, you've got your lots of different colours of lands and Planeswalker and deck that you can play as. So black decks are pretty nasty in terms of destruction, doing various sort of damage and similar things like that. So we're playing an Azure Mage.
We arrived to this game already in progress. As you can see, a lot of dueling has gone on so far. But with no creatures on the battlefield, it'll take a miracle to survive the next few turns. It's Azure Mage's turn, and she attacks with her last remaining creature, bringing your life total to 2.
We join our lovely dulcet tones of our American voiceover person, and as you can see, we're jumping straight into the middle of an in-game situation here. We can see how we can use sorceries and similar such things to survive in what looks, on the face of things, like a last-minute desperate down-to-the-wire game. We're both on 4 health, as you can see, in the top and the bottom, and there are a lot of lands on the table in play as well. Combat phase for Azure Mage. Here we go. We've got nothing to block that Man of War with. Cannot block, as we looked at in our first episode, and there you go, we're down to 2 health.
This looks promising. You've drawn Assassinate, a sorcery. Sorceries are cards intended to be used a single time.
So, some people call it an instance. You may have heard that phrase from other card games, but if you haven't heard that phrase, then what it lets you do is do a particular effect by playing that card, and then it goes straight into your graveyard, or, as some might also know it, your discard pile. So that is, in a very, very brief way, the effect of a sorcery. So let's see that in action. Now you can obviously, we've drawn Assassinate. What is Assassinate going to let us do here? Well, in a very, very basic way, it's simply going to let us potentially remove that Man of War from the table. So this is something we discussed in game 1. In our first episode, but Magic is a little different from other card games in that your turn is split into different pieces and you can do different things in each piece. Now that may sound complicated, but it's not so bad. You just need to break it down and understand it part by part. So we have 2 main phases. You can see 1 and 3. Sorceries can be cast in either of your 2 main phases. So I can either resolve something before combat, or there might be a situation where I want to get rid of something after combat as well. So 1 or 3, either of my 2 main phases, I can cast a sorcery.
Assassinate is a card that can destroy a creature of your choice, as long as it's tapped. Since you're at 2 life, you'd better use it on Azure Mage's creature before it kills you.
There we go. So you just roll over and have a look. There you go. Destroyed tapped target, tapped creature. So because mana war attacked, it is of course tapped. So because it's tapped, I can play my Assassinate. Choose a tapped creature to destroy. I'm absolutely going to destroy that tap mana. That resolves in the main phase, as you see. My combat phase goes through. There's nothing in my second main.
Now, Azure Mage will cast some spells. Divination allows the player to draw 2 cards, a signature blue spell.
Okay, so Divination. As your mage, blue allows card draw and many other things, and of course each colour you'll find when you play Magic has their own style
your
of play.
opponent has a creature that has a special ability. Zoom in on the card to find out what makes Winddrake difficult.
So, this is the second concept. We've taken a look at sorceries and how an instant play like that can help us if we have the lands or mana, as it were, to play that. And then we're now looking at another concept, which is flying. Now, flying is a card text, and as you can see, it's on this creature. So flying means that it cannot be blocked by anything apart from another creature with flying. So we cannot block this card with any of our creatures that do not have that flying text in the middle there. So as it says, we need to fly a card that can deal with this airborne threat. Now, drops that into play. Combat phase, of course, nothing to fight with, and of course in Magic.
Without another Assassinate card, you have no way to destroy Azure Mage's Winddrake. What will you do to stay alive?
Okay, well, you can see I've drawn Vampire Nighthawk, so this costs 3 mana, 1 of any colour, and then 2 dark. So naturally, I've got 5 there. I can totally play this Vampire Nighthawk. What is it good? Flying, Death Touch, and Lifelink. So there's 3 things that need explaining there. So we've just explained flying, can't be blocked except by flying creatures or reach creatures. Death Touch, creatures dealt damage by something with Death Touch are immediately destroyed. It doesn't matter how much damage you do or how much health your opponent's creature has. If you just do 1 damage with this Vampire Nighthawk, then it will destroy that creature, whatever it is. So it could be very, very good in perhaps killing something with a lot more health and a lot more damage. A very efficient trade of cards. Then finally we have lifelink. So damage dealt by something with lifelink also causes its controller to gain that much life. So not only if I do damage do I destroy any creature that touches Vampire Nighthawk, but I also gain life back as well. I gain life back to my hero, my Planeswalker. So that is also a way that I can heal myself. So this card actually looks pretty nice. It can do several different things. So I'm certainly going to be playing that card. So we hit that down to the table. Of course, there's not much else I can do, but I need to choose what I wish to block. Okay, our opponents go, he throws down, ooh, a new creature.
Now you're in serious trouble. That Goliath Sphinx can kill you with 1 hit. But the good news is that your Vampire Nighthawk can kill any creature it deals damage to because it has Death Touch.
There we go, an explanation of Death Touch. If we have a look at that Goliath Sphinx, it's probably pretty nasty. Okay, I've drawn a zombie Goliath, so if we go and have a look at that, 4/3, it's a 4/3, and it costs 5 mana to play, so we can certainly drop that on the table. Now remember, of course, that even if a card has Summoning Sickness, I can still block.
Here's an interesting decision. Do you attack with your Vampire Nighthawk? If you do, you won't have any untapped creatures to block the Goliath Sphinx with.
So if I attack with it, then I won't have anything to block the Sphinx with. I'll need to leave it untapped if I want to block. I do correct myself there. So I need to block the Goliath Sphinx, and I need to try and block with the Summoning Sickness card as well. So I need to have a double block next go. So I need to attack. So I need to block, so I can nominate with block, and then you can see, remember that I have Death Touch, meaning that it may well kill me, but I will also kill it, so that is all good. Nothing else, of course, I can block with there, but remember, if we take a look at this card, it's just sort of sitting there at this moment in time as well. So we can see that it is now our time to jump on in, and if we hit block, then our block will go through, and that will remove the Sphinx from the table because it has Death Touch.
You've drawn a powerful sorcery. Rise from the grave can reanimate creatures that are in a graveyard.
We managed to remove the big threat.
Now's your chance to take that Goliath Sphinx as your own.
And we can see the third piece of this being introduced is the concept of the graveyard. So although cards have gone into the various discard piles, that doesn't mean that it's the absolute end of the game. So you can, in various cases, when you have sorceries or similar, pull things out of your graveyard and use them, and even out of your opponent's graveyard. So let's take a look at Rise of the Grave. That costs 5 mana. As you can see, 4 mana, and one of those has got to be black. Now, with this sorcery, you can put a target creature card from a graveyard. Note that's not just our graveyard, it's a graveyard, onto the battlefield under your control. That creature is a black zombie in addition to its other colours and types. Very nice. So I'm certainly going to be playing that card. By playing that card, I'm going to get that nasty Goliath Sphinx out of my opponent's discard pile.
It appears safe to attack with your zombie Goliath.
So there we go. We can attack. Our opponent may choose to block. In fact, they will have to block if they do not wish to perish. So I would imagine that they will declare this card as a blocker. There we go. And when the combat resolves, we do 2 damage. We kill the Drake. The Drake does not kill us, so at the end of our turn, unless anything else happens, remember that, of course, in Magic, our cards get healed back up. So our zombie Goliath lives to fight another day.
Now swing in for the win.
Lovely stuff. Well, firstly, I'm going to may as well play the land. Remember that we may as well get into the habits. Oh no, it's not going to let me. I could play my land. So let's attack. I can even attack with all. And attack. 12 damage there, unless he has some sorceries like we've just seen. There's no so boom. There goes the zombie Goliath Sphinx. And
as you play more Magic, you'll run into many kinds of spells and creature abilities. Look for spells that fit your playstyle. In Quest 3, we'll learn about spells with more permanent effects.
So there we go. That is a little end to our episode 2, where we just took a look at the second piece of the Magic 2015 Duels of the Planeswalkers tutorial, and we just took a little look at 3 different things. We took a look at sorceries, an instant ability that you can play on one of your main parts of your turn. We also took a little bit of a look at some other on-card abilities, such as flying. Flying meaning that any creature with flying cannot be blocked unless it's blocked by another creature that has flying or reach. So a different kind of card text, a little bit of a different kind of creature there. And then we also took a look at some creature abilities. We also saw the abilities Death Touch and Lifelink. So as well as having card text such as flying, you can also have creatures that have other abilities that affect gameplay. So Death Touch, meaning that any creature that creature with Death Touch does damage to is destroyed. And then Lifelink, meaning that whatever damage a creature with Lifelink does, it will also heal its controlling planeswalker, hero, whatever you like to call it, for that much damage also. So some interesting on-card effects there for creatures. And the final thing we saw was how, in some cases, cards in your deck, you can actually take cards that you've already played or have already been discarded from play and take them out of your graveyard, actually use them, as we did with that rather nasty creature, taking one of our opponent's creatures and using it for our own purposes. So that is it for this episode. If you're live, don't go away. We're going to be back and doing some more in just a second. If you're on YouTube joining us, then please do check out the other parts of our little intro to Magic Duels of the Planeswalkers. That's youtube.com/Felcroftcasts. You can also see some other games there too. If you're on YouTube as well, don't forget to check out twitch.tv/Felcroftcast. We do stream live both lunchtimes UK time and evenings with a variety of games, but we're trying to make our Magic episodes a regular series as we go and learn Magic through Duels of the Planeswalkers in the video game, and then we go and start learning the card game, and then go out into the real world and start trying to get into Magic there as well. And last but not least, our Twitter is @FelcroftCasts. Do drop us a tweet with what you think. It would be great to see you there. When we're not gaming, when we're not streaming, we are also on Twitter sorting those bits. So thank you so much for tuning in. It's been great to have you with us. This is Felcroftcasts. I've been Hammy. If you're live, don't go away. We'll be right back. If you're on YouTube or anywhere else, I hope to see you. Please comment, like, share if you like it. If you didn't like it, please let us know what we could do better. Hopefully see you soon. And